14th chapter of Luke. When Jesus knows how the guests pick the places of honor at the table, he said to them this parable. When someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. And if so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this man your seat. And then humiliated, you'll have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, come with me to a better place. And you will be honored in the presence of all your fellow guests. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled. He who humbles himself will be exalted. And Jesus said to his host, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends, your brothers or relatives, or your rich neighbors, for if you do, they will invite you back, and so you will be repaid. When you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, then you will be blessed. Though they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord. I remember one time a friend of mine and I went to a booster outing at the University of Wisconsin, and he was a big Badger fan, and he went to all the games, and for about 12 years I had season tickets to the football game, and I ushered frequently at the hockey games because I was too cheap to buy a ticket. He got me now. I hope it's not a beat. Let me tell you how to handle flies. If you're in a restaurant and you get flies at your table, ask for a bottle of Tabasco sauce and take the cap off, and the flies will leave you alone. You happen to have a bottle of Tabasco sauce in your purse, do you? Oh, darn. I guess we'll have to put up with it. I don't like Tabasco sauce either, though I understand flies. Anyway, we were at this outing, and it was Butch's Badger Bash. And we went in where everybody was going to eat, and there were seats right down front. And so we went down, and we sat there waiting to be served. And it wasn't long until someone came and said, "That's our table." And we said, okay, so we got up and left. But how about coming to church? How many of you are in the same seat you were in last Sunday, and the Sunday before, and the Sunday before? And what happens if somebody beats you there? You can be looked at as scants. Now that's a word I learned reading books was a scants. I'm not sure exactly what a scant is, but it's sure not good. Because when somebody's mad, that's the way they look. But we pick the places where we think we ought to be. We pick the places that are just right for us. Usually not even thinking that they may be just right for someone else. And we get excited when things aren't the way we thought they ought to be. Now I paid my $5 to get into this. And just because the guy paid $5,000 for the table is no sign he ought to sit there instead of me. But I sure was not going to come up with that kind of money to sit there. It wasn't worth it. We were booted to the back of the room. Now we just got them under another table where nobody said anything. But Jesus said it very simply, if you exalt yourself, you'll be humbled in the end. If we have to promote ourselves to be important, then our importance is only to ourselves. But by humbling ourselves, by being a servant mentality, we're important to God. And He will let people see us on the top of the mountain. He will let people see us in all the glory that we might have. He will let people see us as servants who are honored. In Paul's letter, he said to the church, be content with what you got. I got out of the Army. I made $78.50 when I started out in the Army. That was a month, not an hour. And I think when I got out, I made $137.50 or something like that. The amazing thing was I bought an $18.75 war bond out of every month's pay, even when it was $78.50. I should have bought two when it was $137. But what it reminded me is that I have never had a paycheck, I've never had a salary, I've never had earnings that I couldn't outspend. Until I decided I didn't need to spend it. And then suddenly there's savings. And I don't know when it came about, I'm not sure what my mental change was, or either that or you guys are way overpaying me. But suddenly, no, it's not suddenly, it took a long, long time for me to understand that I didn't need all of that I thought I needed. Now you're going to look at the car and you're going to laugh at me and say, be content with what you've got. Whether it be your talents, whether it be your money, whether it be your house. If you need a better house, then don't be content with what you have. But make sure that the word is need and not want. Because we have an awful hard time making the difference between those two. Yeah, we didn't need quite the car we got, but we didn't want it real bad. But isn't that what life is about? But there has to be something, like we sang the song, Yesu, Yesu. Take care of your neighbors. Who are your neighbors? They're everybody. That's enough definition. Your neighbors are everybody. They're not the ones next door, and they're not the ones in the next town. They're not the ones with flooding in Louisiana. They are everybody. And God calls us to be the servant to everyone. And we serve them with our hands, we serve them with our prayers, we serve them with our money, we serve them in so many ways. We have this big rummage sale. Has anybody ever been to our rummage sale? Okay, you know that we charge exorbitant prices. We have a place for all the money that we collect. We give it away. And the main purpose of that rummage sale is so that you and I can talk to each other, to people who come, to people in the other church that meets here at 10:30. That's another church, you know, that you don't even know, but you could get to know if you came to the rummage sale. Because there's some of them show up for that. They don't all stay away. That's the main purpose as far as I'm concerned. We raise money so we can do more with Operation Christmas Child. That's fine. The second real purpose of the rummage sale is so that someone who needs something can come and get it and can afford to take it home. We don't sell anything for what it's worth, except that it's worth price beyond belief to someone who needs it, who desperately needs what we have. It's the same thing with the message that we should be living out very carefully in our life. We have something that you can't buy for the proper price, because what we have is priceless. What we have is beyond belief for those who don't have it. But we want people to come to us so that we can share what we have. And they don't do it. The workshop we were at, Jim Griffith emphasized that the philosophy of the Christian church in the United States for the last 300 years has been to build a building, open the doors, and stand there and wait. And for a long time it worked. Actually, all the way up through the Second World War, it worked. People couldn't wait to go to church. And I reminded you last week that today, 88% of the people in the state of Arizona are not in church. And we got a door that's open, we got music, we got hymnals, we got comfortable seats, we have a fantastic, oh no, we don't have a fantastic preacher after all. But why aren't they rushing in the door? Because we haven't told them. We haven't told them that we're servants. We haven't told them that we want them to come here so they can learn to work hard for other people for nothing. We haven't told them how wonderful it is to put your life on the line for somebody you'll never know. Just as Christ did, because he knows us. They're not rushing in our door because they don't even know we're here. We had people who came on the first Sunday. The first Sunday we had church service here was the 22nd of December in 2002. I had optimistically ordered 125 chairs. We had 176 people. I'm a real optimist. We had people who said, well, I watched them build the church, so I had to come once. 6 months after the church was built, nobody remembers that it's new. If you put up a big sign, in 3 months, nobody will know that you have a sign. Because we blend in. We just blend in. We don't stand out. And that's another reason for the rummage sale is for 2 days we stand out. For 2 days people see stuff going on. For 2 days they notice that we're alive. Has anybody here, now this is personal, anybody here came here because they came to the rummage sale? In the second service there will be 3 or 4 people who said, well, came to the rummage sale and the people were so nice, we just came on to church and then we found out about the coffee hour. That's the way it's got to work. They've got to see that we're doing something, that we're not content with where we are, but we want to be content with who we are. We don't need to be the biggest church on the block. We don't need to be the fanciest church on the block. We don't need to be the loudest church on the block. We need to be the busiest servants on the block. And when you can be content with what you have, so you're not always striving to get better, to get bigger, to get brighter, you can be a servant. People who are successful in business thrive on being service-oriented. They do things for their customers, many of whom they'll never talk to again. But that doesn't keep them from being a servant for that moment. Because that's a neighbor who stops in to buy a loaf of bread, to buy a house, to buy a car, or to buy something from our rummage sale for a quarter. Every one of them deserves to be served. And if we're willing to be content with who we are, then we can be content with giving them the service they want. We don't have to be big. We don't have to be bright. We don't have to be splashy and showy. We have to be sincere. We have to want to serve. And when you can be content with where you are and what you are and what you have, fill your needs, but try to fill the needs of others around you. Jesus, Jesus, you fill up my soul. Show me the neighbors we have, that I might be something for them. Show me the neighbors that I might be an answer for them. Show me the neighbors that I might be a servant to them. And if you sit in the same seat next week, that's fine. Somebody beat you to it. The ones over here are a lot more comfortable than these. He said, I'll tell you a parable. If you take the most prominent seat in the house, you're going to get knocked off. Somebody more important than you is coming to the banquet. Just find a seat and sit down, and if you've got a place with a name tag, they'll come and get you and say, no, you belong over here. Because you're meant to serve. You're meant to be special in the eyes of the only one that it makes any difference how you rank, and that's the eyes of God. Amen. The hymn of promise, number 707. If you would stand with me.